During the last few years, we've ventured into a lot of different fields. I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing. It was all started by a mouse. All started by a mouse.
Simple circles. Oh, gosh! Mickey is a thing we all share. There aren't many of those around.
Oh, wow.
Attention, everyone. Santa has an announcement to make.
For the good of Christmas, for the good of my family, I, Santa Claus, have decided to retire. We have a grief counselor, right? You're interviewing to become Santa Claus.
Yes. Can't wait to rub this in Brady's face.
All I do is
Give us your best ho, ho, ho.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Ho, ho, homaha! Homaha! You see that? I called a little audible there.
Anyhow, thanks so much.
I sing, by the way.
No, Brady can sing.
slay all day, slaying anything and anyone that's in my way. You just good, but I'm so good.
That's me.
All I do is slay.
I banish thee from Salem forever.
They were right to fear thee. Magic has a way of uniting. Happy 16th birthday, child.
I have a gift for my favorite customers. Legend has it, it's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets her powers.
Lock up your children! Yes, Salem, we're back!
Gilbert, where did you get that candle? We have to get out of here. The witches will be here any second. Ah! The book is alive.
He woke up?
If we intend to live past sunrise, we have to steal their souls.
Whoa, wait, can we talk about this?
No.
We must fly! We're run amok!
Not to freak out, the vengeful maniac obsessed with getting revenge on Salem sounds very bad for Salem.
We should get some salt. Why? So we taste better when they eat us? Spread out.
That's not 6 feet under.
Stop! I am a good zombie!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dads, not always on wrestling. I, of course, am the renegade JJ Williams. He, of course, is the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. We are in the same house. We are in the same room. We have our little prop next to us, the X Division Championship. Thank you to Stat Boy for this wonderful birthday gift once again. I know I have thanked you numerous times already, but let me just go ahead and get it out there once more with feeling, as you said,
yes,
as we hit the record button.
Yes. We're throwing it back to 2012 for you kids, because we in the same room, in the same shot with a prop and everything.
Yeah.
And we're talking about stuff that took place before 2012, but that's okay too.
There you go. I mean, we are here to discuss the top 10 TNA X Division champions. Now, to reiterate,
as we said all weekend.
Yeah, as I have said multiple times, we covered it on Me Time, we covered it on the Warzone, we covered it on Open Mic Night.
Yes, yes.
Jeff and I didn't really watch a whole lot of NWA, TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever you wanted to call them, Global Force.
Past this guy.
Post the Hogan Bischoff era.
Yeah, and even then some of this tuned out in our heads anyway.
Yes. For good reason.
For good reasons, that's right. That's right.
There were some high spots during that era, but they were few and far between.
Highspots.com.
But we haven't really watched full time since then.
No, we have not.
So as much as he is the West Coast professor, we are not educated enough on the champions that came after that time to really wax philosophically about them and to give them their just dues, their roses, as people like to say.
Yes, exactly.
To give them their proper props.
Yes.
So everybody that we're going to discuss, our top 10, is basically from the inception of this belt in 2002 all the way up until, like I said, about the Hogan-Bischoff era.
Yeah. There are champions on this list that we're featuring because they were champions in that era. Yes, regained the title at some point after that, possibly, but we're going to be talking about their reigns right around the Hogan era. Maybe a little bit after, but not too far past that primrose path they took. Because we just didn't want, number one, you couldn't find the show on television.
Accurate. I mean, you could barely find it during its inception. It was either a weekly pay-per-view or it was that god-awful Fox Sports spot.
Yeah, it really wasn't until USA, welcomed WWE back for Homecoming, that, Spike picked up the ball and, ran with it for as long as they did. God bless them for it, by the way. But yeah, you have to remember something about this. And yes, the splash image was what it was because we were both young puppies in those pictures. I don't know if yours was taken at PWG. Mine was. Okay, so yeah, right around the same spot at the JCC. It's where this picture
I want to say my picture was taken at Jason Takes PWG when AJ versus Daniels had their match, and it was sitting there for that entire hour because it went to a time limit draw.
No spoilers there.
And I went to the table where the hard cam was.
Yes.
Asked the guy that was managing the belt real quick, can I get a picture?
Yeah.
Took a picture, and if you look at the official image, I'm getting photobombed like a muckerfeather.
Oh yeah.
People behind me like, yeah, this dude's the champ.
Yeah.
But there I am in my AJ Styles t-shirt.
And keep in mind, Daniels was the champion going into that.
Yeah.
AJ was PWG champion, but Daniels was the X Division champion, so he's wearing AJ's.
But I didn't have a Daniels shirt. Don't get me wrong. I love me Christopher Daniels. I love the Fallen Angel.
That's right.
Since I first discovered him on the UPW KDOC show.
Which even he and Frankie both say is shit.
I've loved Christopher Daniels. Conquistador dos.
See. Uno not so much. Yeah.
Screw it.
Screw it. Yeah.
Not evil Uno.
Not evil Uno. We love Uno on the show. Yes.
But I digress. But yeah, that's when that image was taken. Yeah. I remember it vividly.
Yes. By the way,
because God knows, like I said, we had a whole freaking hour to get a picture with that belt.
Yeah, it's just sitting there, when the people just sitting there going, "Wow, they're doing really good up there." So they had time. Mine was taken right outside the front door, and I get away. We actually used that image of me with the belt for the cover for RSI for a long time in the No DQ days. So, yeah, that picture's made. I actually had to Photoshop PixArt now the image from the RSA opening to get a decent shot of me with that belt, because anything else I ever had, I think the only picture I have in the collection with that belt was an AJ was champion. It's not me in the picture, it's Dylan's mom, and she's grabbing his ass, so he's looking like, whoa, I'm getting my ass grabbed. So it's kind of like, not so much.
I only had 2 pictures with this belt.
Yes.
The one that's displayed for the splash image, and one that'll pop up when we discuss the champion a little bit later.
Yes, and yes, you're welcome out there for the PixArt. I gotta give a love to PixArt for the image use I was able to delve into with these 10 images, because man, TNA photography in the pre-Hogan era, definitely not HD. And some of social media, even back then, and even posted now, definitely not HD.
It's nice to hear you praising PixArt and not PixAr, going with the shill of your company and everything.
Hey, it's one of those things. Had I been able to do laundry when it wasn't, for the 2 minutes it wasn't god-awful being hot last week at the house, I probably could have washed my TNA, the red, white, and blue shirt you gave me, but it was hot for less than 2 minutes, cold for less than 2 minutes in the house. So I couldn't do laundry this week.
And for some reason, I don't know where that AJ shirt is.
Right.
Because I don't know if I sold it or got rid of it or whatever, but for the longest time, I still had that AJ Styles shirt.
Yes.
It would have been cool to dust it off since that's the splash image, but we're rambling.
But since we're looking back in time, the network shirt is only appropriate, because we are bringing this thing back to the future. So
the entire week on my channel is geared to the 80s. We've got Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which aired earlier today. Got Breakfast Club on Wednesday, Ferris Bueller on Friday.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why I dusted the Back to the Future logo for the network off for this week.
Appreciate that. And I will also say this, man. If you've not seen Clerks 2 yet, go Clerks 3, excuse me. Go watch it. Go watch his review and have all the tissues. Yeah. All but now I didn't say Kleenex because that's the brand name.
That'll be the new release Saturday review for this week. But yes, I mean, if Clerks 3 is still showing in your area and you have the opportunity to see it, because it is a limited engagement. It was only showing for 1 week, one showtime up here.
Yeah.
And we got it on Friday. It stopped showing up here on Sunday.
Yeah, it was close. It was close. So yeah. I only didn't get to see it in the moment because
or if Kevin is coming to your area, because Kevin Smith is doing the convenience store tour where he does a little Q&A, shows the film to the audience, meet and greet. If he comes to your film, you got to pony up for it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it because at least you get to meet Kevin Smith also.
Yeah, if it's anything like the Paul Rubens experience for Big Adventure that my dad and I had before I went to Vegas the last time, dude, worth it.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's very much like the experience I had for Val Kilmer when he did the Citizen Twain at the Improv.
Yeah.
But again, we're off in the weeds.
That's right.
Let's jump in the DeLorean. Let's come back to the topic.
Yes. With number 10.
Number 10 champion definitely held this belt.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Michael Shane.
And again, you don't hear Michael Shane or the real name, Matt Bentley, near enough for as good as he was.
Michael Shane, Matt Bentley, is a forgotten gem of the X Division during those years.
Yes.
And like he really needs to get his credit for being, I wouldn't say a pillar of that division, because the pillars were very much AJ Daniels, Frankie, and low key in the beginning.
Very beginning, right.
It then started to spiral off, and you got, the Sabins, the Shelleys, the Petey's, etc.
Yes, the Joes.
All of whom we're going to talk about at some point, so just hold your horses.
Yeah.
But Matt Bentley, Michael Shane is one of those guys that just gets lost.
And it's so sad because, I mean, number one, you've got the pedigree behind him. No, he's not Triple H's cousin. He's Shawn Michaels' cousin.
Yeah, that's how he would do his promos. They would come up to him and he'd be like, "It's the icon, the showstopper, the main event, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels' cousin."
Yeah, and he's got Shawn's. He did anyway. Shawn's gravelly voice, man. It's they're totally family, absolutely.
And the look, the face, you can see. You can see the family resemblance.
Yeah, it's scary how much of a young Shawn Michaels he looked like during his time as the X Division champion.
And the sad part is after his split with Frankie, he became Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
Because nobody talks about him. He's Bruno status. We don't talk about Michael Shane.
Except on Renegades Reviews t-shirts. Buy that shirt too.
But
it's terrible.
It's so sad. And we just had to come out the gate here, giving the man his credit, because he does not get enough of it.
No. We will say this. We did keep the list confined to this era, or the belt right after it, even early then. You won't see RVD on here, even though we both love Rob, and honorable mention to an extent. You will not see our, at one point, buddy Willie Mack, even though he did get a run of the X Division Championship. But, he was well into the 2020s, I think he won the championship. 2020, during the
April 2020.
April 2020. If it was April 4th, it wouldn't surprise me a bit with Willie. But, there's going to be a lot of people there. All are honorable mentions. If you don't see them on the top 10, every single person that held the X Division Championship in TNA, even the ones that, seem like a comedic thing or whatever, they all earned their spot.
I was going to say that the only one I can really think of off the top of my head that I wouldn't give an honorable mention to, and again, love the men behind the mask,
right?
But Suicide.
Oh yeah, TJ, and that's the thing.
That
whole.
I was good on the Suicide gimmick.
Yeah, And once they split him off and had Suicide be somebody different than Manic, it was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because at one point, Suicide was Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and T.J. Perkins. Like, huh?
Yeah. And again, no shit on any of those three guys.
Right. We love them
those
all.
three guys.
And especially outside, you know, TJ going back to his gimmick as Puma.
Right.
And then just being himself. Christopher Daniels, the Curry Man, the Fallen Angel.
And then
Frankie, the future Kazarian, the man who would not cut his hair for WWE. Then he came to PWG and cut his hair.
Yeah. Okay, we're right back to TNA. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, just to do it. I love that man. And we'll get to him later.
Yeah.
But yeah, honorable mentions are pretty much everybody across the board except the character itself of Suicide Manic, whatever the hell you want to call it. Because at the end of the day, it was created for the Impact video game, and they needed to bring it to TV because why?
Exactly.
It's silly. Number 9, my friend.
Number 9 is going to be the first person to hold the belt after this era, and that is Austin Aries. Austin Aries as the X Division champion was, pun intended, he was gold.
Option C is because of Austin Aries. That whole gimmick exists because Austin Aries was the champion, and in his character or not, in his heart knew he was more than just an X Division champion.
Mm-hmm. And he's right.
And in the ring, presentation, everything in the ring and on screen, he was a world champion.
Very much the same vein of MJF.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Went out there, knew how good he was, knew that he deserved more than second fiddle.
Yep.
Or third fiddle, because for freaking A, MJF still hasn't had an AEW championship around his waist. I know, clock is ticking. You know, Karrion Kross's hourglass is running out of sand for that one as well, but he deserves that next level. So I very much would akin Austin Aries, this era, X Division champion, to what we see out of Maxwell Jacob Freeman these days.
Yeah, and with any luck, he wouldn't have been a world champion like Austin was, because man, Max. We'll see what happens Wednesday night. Who comes out of the battle of the Blackpool to face MJF? Probably a full gear. Some made that official yet, but you know, hey, we talked about mine. I'm here for it either way.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 8 is Jay Lethal.
Yeah, Black Machismo, Jay Lethal.
Were we gonna do dueling macho impressions? That's the $1 million question.
No, I don't think we should. I think we'll just leave it right here, right now, because at the end of the day, the macho thing is on the great cherry wheel, and if we do it too much, I'm gonna throw my throat out before Wednesday. If they spin it on the wheel, I'm gonna be fucked. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
my throat hurt after just that little bit. So I used to be able to do a much better mock than that.
Me too. God.
But
Oh my God.
Jay Lethal just.
Let us be honest. Jay Lethal was put back into the list.
Yeah. Originally, I was going to have my boy Willie here.
Yes.
Our boy Willie.
Yes.
But I was talked out of it because of the fact that we didn't really watch that era. And I was like, okay,
that makes
then
sense.
Lethal needs to go back in this spot.
Because he, again, if for no other reason, Jay Lethal, as the X Division champion, put that championship and the story around it back at the top of the card. He beat Kurt Angle for the X Division championship.
Yes.
Let's just sit on that for a second. Did the whole thing with SoCal Val Miss Elizabeth, which, from hindsight, even more than the moment it was. But Jay has made his entire career post that out of that run. He still uses the freaking intro to Pop and Circumstance to this day on his music. And God, what a summer he had. Jesus Christ.
I know, right?
So
wrestling Ric Flair.
Wrestling against Flair with Jarrett as his partner. Dude, he's in the ring with Horsemen. And he's just strutting out there like the cock and the walk. Like, that's right, I'm with the Horsemen. Black Machismo this. Yeah. It's like, nah, man.
Yeah, the first time I heard his music drop on AEW and he had the build up there for Pomp and Circumstance, and then it went into the other music, I was like,
oh, shit.
That's what's up. Okay.
Seriously.
I thought for a minute it was actually going to be the, oh, yeah, and then his old music.
Yeah.
But like, man.
I love the remix he uses now. So good. But yeah, it was so refreshing. And I only got to go back and watch TNA live once, and that was well before Jay even showed up in the company.
Yes. We won't talk about that experience for the 100th time. Six-Sided Steel Turning Point. 2004.
I don't want to do that no more because it's old and it is what it is. It's kind of like me. Old is what it is.
It's still one of those things that I look at you and I'm like, fuck you, Meacham.
Hey, you know what? You can crack on me all you want about it because at the end of the day, according to Rift anyway, we almost missed the plane because of the Mickey picture off. So, it is what it is. It's bullshit, Aaron, by the way. I know you're not watching, so I can say it's bullshit. Anyway, because you don't watch my shows, you shithead.
But let's not piss off the boss. I would like to still occasionally appear on the No DQ reviews.
Okay, fine. Then I'll blame my current boss for almost missing the plane. How about that?
Oh boy, do we have a problem here? But, reeling it back in.
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal was so good and so entertaining at a time where TNA was getting stagnant and stale.
Yeah, you figure 07, even in 08, it was already starting to drag. And whether the NWA thing had anything to do with it or not, it just seemed like the product just kind of went.
Yeah, it was coming to a halt.
Yeah,
and it needed something to help jumpstart it. And Jay Lethal and the X Division, the X Division Championship. Granted, it definitely is more akin to the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
They always said it wasn't about weight limits, it was about no limits. But it very much was your Intercontinental U.S. title. It was your workhorse championship.
Yeah.
And at that time, in that division, there was no bigger workhorse than Jay Lethal.
Nope. Jay Lethal can claim a lot of different things that came out of his TNA career, and one of them that doesn't get talked about near as much either is being able to allow somebody named at that time Consequences Creed bounce back from a ridiculous run as a football player's tag team championship partner and regain those championships. So Xavier Woods can look back now and go, dude, Jay Lethal shot my rocket up my ass and got me that WWE opportunity.
Absolutely.
So Jay Lethal will never not get talked about when we talk about TNA, the X Division, and that era. Number 7 on our list is a man who's been known as a couple of different names in multiple companies as well as champion. Yep.
Some of you that only watch the WWE may remember his run as Caval.
Yeah, that brief NXT moment with Lake Cool.
But he's better known through the Indies and, of course, his TNA runs as Senshi and Low Ki.
Yes.
And Low Ki, man, like I said in the beginning, he was one of those pillars of the X Division.
Yep.
You mentioned Jerry Lynn when I was doing that, and I don't want to discredit Jerry.
No.
But Jerry was very much that veteran legend helping get these guys ready, which is why I didn't list him as the pillar.
That's fair.
Because they never built the division around him.
That's very true. He was always in between two others. That's true.
The division was very much built around, like I said, Frankie, Daniels, Low Ki, and AJ.
At that point, absolutely. The first 2 years, definitely those guys.
And the only reason Low Ki is as low as he is on this list, in my opinion, is because his reigns weren't as memorable as some of the other champions that we're going to be discussing in a little bit.
Yep. All I know is my biggest memory of Low Ki, period, is having him walk. I don't know if you were at that show. I forget which armory it was, which Legion Hall we were in that month.
Yeah, I was not at a Gorilla show that Low Ki was at, so I have not seen Ki in person.
So Low Ki walked interrupted a opening show Bryan Danielson as world champion promo and dropped Bryan on his ass within 5 minutes and became the new champion. The whole crowd was, what the fuck? And Low Ki walked out and like, yep, okay, bye. And Bryan just sitting there for a brief moment, and American Dragon back then, he was very rarely dumbfounded, but he was just, what the hell truck hit me? So that's my definitive Low Ki memory. And of course, you mentioned Six Sides of Steel earlier. He's part of that at the end of the day. And, that built off him being part of this X Division, teaming with Daniels, and being able to branch into the tag division, which was America's Most Wanted and everybody else at that point.
But primarily Triple X, that was their primary rivals. AMW Triple X.
Which is why the six-sided steel loser must break up was so important, because it was those two teams and everybody else was playing catch-up third place ball. So, yeah, Low-Key's importance in the early days of TNA, especially the X and tag team divisions, cannot be stated enough.
Would you say that, since we're briefly touching on Triple X, would you say that the pillars of the tag division in the early days were AMW, Triple X, the Naturals, and the New Church?
If the New Church had ran a little bit longer, I would say yeah. I would say, even though they came along a little bit later than the other three, I would put Team Canada up there, because interchange any of those combinations in there. But yeah, the New Church, again, again,
With Three Life Crew?
Three Life, yeah, see, this is more than a four-pillar conversation, unfortunately.
That's fair. I mean, the Naturals and the New Church are questionable. You could always go Team Canada and 3LK.
But much like you said about Jerry Lynn, 3LK was the guys that have been around forever, except for, I mean, Killings was not a long tenured veteran at that point. K-Dog sure as shit was, as was Brian. So, yeah, that's a good discussion to bring up at a different time when we can get long form on it, because there were a lot of underrated, underappreciated tag teams, which is why that show we went to was so important. It opened up with a World Tag Team title change between Team Canada and 3LK and ended with Six-Sided Steel. So, there you go. Yeah. So, tag team division and TNA, people talk about the X division, and it was TNA's face. I'm not even going to front on that. But the tag teams were really, really good, especially in the NWA era.
Yeah. That's the only belt I'm missing now. Those of you that saw my social media post when this came in, 2 down, 1 to go. Yeah. I've got the NWA title. I've got the TNA X division title. Now I just need that era NWA tag team title.
Were those blue or black straps? I'll have to look that up and find out.
I think they were black straps.
Okay. Get on that, kids.
Number 6 on our list is another, he was one of the next generation pillars of the X division, and definitely a modern day pillar of the tag division.
Oh yeah.
With the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yep.
The future Chris Sabin.
Yeah. Chris.
Hail Sabin, like you said. And man,
if ever there was a X division that was a star that was a major friend of the No DQ channel back in those days, it was definitely Chris Sabin, along with somebody else we're going to talk about later, man. Those two.
Sabin was one of the main reasons I started going to Gorilla, man. I mean, the first All-Star weekend that I went to, what brought me to the dance, if you will, for PWG, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Petey Williams, Chris Sabin, Samoa Joe. I even think Brian was on that card, but I didn't really know who Brian was yet.
I think he was. I'll have to look it up.
I think it's when Brian was still doing like the bald head but like the devil beard.
Oh,
kind of look.
He was still ringing on our champion. I know. Was he champion that way?
But like
no, I don't think so. Anyway.
Those guys, those pillars of the X division, were what brought me to Gorilla.
Yeah.
And then I saw, Super Dragon and Davey Richards and the AEW commentator extraordinaire Excalibur, Ronan, aka Hello Kitty, popular to talk about or not, Joey Ryan and Scott Lost and Chris Bosh, El Generico, Sami Zayn and Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Candice LeRae.
Yeah, we will forever have people get up our ass about, you only came to PWG to see this out of town stars. Like, motherfucker, I was going to PWG when you were in Santa Ana in front of 20 people. Eat me. Okay.
And I'll look them dead in the eye and be like, you're fucking right.
But those guys brought him there, but he stayed because of the guys we just rattled off.
Exactly.
That's the difference. And there was so much good talent there, but that All-Star Weekend, WrestleMania's in town. Ring of Honor does that shit every year now. To this day, they have a card at WrestleMania weekend because they know it works, because Ring of Honor PWG did that same shit every year for a while. And, she wasn't part of the card, but I thought it was pretty cool that Molly Holly was in the crowd too. That was pretty cool to see her.
Molly was there. Davari was there.
Well, Davari was actually there scouting. Molly was just there just hanging out. Was Little Nate with Molly that night? No, Davari was. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, Chris Sabin. I can't gush over the Machine Guns enough ever.
Yeah.
Even my son's mother, who was still really trying to get her fandom established in that brain of hers, loved her some Alex Shelley, and because of that, loved her some Chris Sabin. So it's
my daughter's mom loved her some Sabin.
Yeah.
And she saw them recently on an episode of Impact when I was back at her house, and she was like, "Damn, Shelley still looks good. Sabin?
Sabin looks like he's 15 years older. I'm not gonna lie."
But hail Sabin, because those matches he had recently.
Oh yeah.
With Frankie.
I was gonna say, him and Frankie look like they were freaking wrestling in 2002 again. Like, Jesus.
It was a battle of the futures. It was the future Chris Sabin and Frankie, the future Kazarian.
So good.
And the future is now. I mean, you look at them. You look at SoCal Uncensored, what they did.
Yep.
You look at the Guns and where they are now. Shelley is the champion of Wrestling Prestige.
Right.
Which comes out here to SoCal. Sold out.
Yep. Every time. Be it Portland, be it here, be it wherever. They sell that shit out. And Shelley's the man. But since we're talking about the futures, let's move on to the other one.
Yes, let's move on to Frankie, the future.
And yes, this is the picture we were talking about. That is our boy Renegade here with Frankie as exhibition champion. That's at UPW, is it not?
Yes, that is at the second UPW show I ever went to. I want to say that was the night that Joni was there.
Yeah,
Joni
I think so.
and Conan.
Well, Joni was there with Joni's brother, even though they weren't really brother and sister, and Tabitha Stevens, the adult film star, was there with her too. That was the start of my summer of friendship with Joni. But yeah, great show, fun show.
I mean, it's always fun when you give somebody something to sign, and they look at it, and then they kind of comment on themselves. Because I had a friend at the Times issue of Playboy that she was in.
Yes.
And she's flipping through it, looking at her pictorial. She's like, "Damn, that's a nice ass." And what do you say to Joni? You go, "Yes, ma'am, that sure is." And then how does she take it? Because 2022 take it a whole different way than she took it in 2005.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but we're not talking about Joni and her naked ass in Playboy.
But we do love you anyway, Joni.
We're talking about Frankie Kazarian. And this picture happened because I just went up and I started talking to Frankie. Much as I had done to Christopher Daniels at the other UPW show. I told him about the KDOC show and how I became a fan of Ultimate Pro Wrestling from that. And him tell me, as Chris did, what hot garbage that show was.
It was so good.
And I'm like, but bro, it made new fans because it exposed me and Statboy to the UPW product that we didn't know about. And I'm sure we're not the only ones.
What's
tuning into that and seeing matches like the Ballard Brothers versus the Hardy Boys, with both Looney Lane and Lita at ringside getting involved.
Oh my God, dude.
Samoa Joe and Tommy Dreamer and shit. Like, they're using the WWE talent as well because they were developmental territory for WWE.
They definitely were. Unofficially, they were. Oh, yeah.
So, but I mean, it roped us in. And I talked to Frankie. I'm like, hey, where's your X Division title? I'm surprised you don't have it out here for photos. He excused himself, went to the locker room to his bag, grabs the belt out, comes back out, is like, "You mean this?" It's like, can I get a picture? He's like, "Absolutely, I just went and got it for you."
Didn't even bat an eye.
No, so that is how that picture happened with me and Frankie, because I just asked him, "Dude, I'm surprised you don't have the belt out."
Yeah, it wasn't like, "Can I have the pictures?" I'm surprised you don't have it out here for pictures.
It's like, and considering all the other ex-champions that we saw in Gorilla, I probably could have had pictures with them and this belt. But that's just such a special memory, and that's what made me and Frankie bonded. I don't know if he'd remember that shit, you know, but like, you gotta figure that was over 15 years ago. People, these guys meet people on a daily.
They do.
You know, who's to say what is going to leave a lasting impression unless you see a guy over and over and over again, you know, like the way Brian came up to us at freaking Access and was like, "Where's Jeff?"
Over there. Can't afford to get his ass in. He fucking got up and walked over to me.
You know, it's like things like that. You can understand why they remember you, but a guy like Frankie who only saw him met a couple of times, like, is he gonna remember that story?
Can almost guarantee he'll remember, dude, because Frankie's one of those that, you know, remembers where he came from and who all fans or whatever, how they got him there. So would very much surprise me if he did remember it. At least the basic telling of it. Details, you know. It's like Billy Ball said. Details are for, you know, other folks. All right.
But he was the man. And then we talked about his co-reign with Michael Shane.
Yes.
Their run as a tag team. I mean, Frankie's another one of those, very much on the level of Michael Shane, that I feel like even though he was a pillar of the division, does not get the credit he deserves. The Wave of the Future, and especially the Flux Capacitor.
Oh my god! Every time I see Sammy or anybody do a Spanish Fly, it's like, it's not the Flux Capacitor. It's not the Flux Capacitor. It's something different now. But it's like, shoot. That's why I do commentary on the matches, because I'll call Flux Capacitor. No one will be like, what the fuck? Like,
it's like,
do your homework, boy.
I know it's called the Spanish Fly, but every time I see that move being pulled off, it's like, did he just do the Flux Capacitor?
And seriously, like 3 people in the room would be like, what the hell? But he and I would be like, yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And if you know,
you know. That's right. It's become a popular phrase. And we do know.
And if you don't know, then your ass better call somebody.
No, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn are on this list because they were next to his champion. But this guy, who is still wrestling X Division style now in 2022 with gold on him, let's not front that, you know.
Now, let me just interject here real quick. Beautiful as a build-up as you just gave.
Yes.
You could seriously argue any of these next 4 to be number 1.
I'll agree with that.
I mean, in my heart of hearts, and Jeff co-signed with me, there is only 1. So at best, you could really argue that any one of these next 3 could be the 2.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Number 4 on our list is Samoa Joe.
And again,
the Samoan submission machine. And what do you say about Joe? He was the X Factor of the X Division.
Yep.
Guys like him are why they say it's not about weight limits. It's about no limits.
Guys like him are a reason guys like Willie Mack got the belt later. Guys like Kevin Nash contested for the belt later because...
Guys like him are why guys like Keith Lee exist.
Yeah. Now, Keith Lee can be winning the Cruiserweight Championships,
but, but you don't look at a guy like Keith Lee and think that he can move around the ring the way he does. Guys like Samoa Joe are the reason that he does.
I was going to say, you look at Keith Lee now, you do think it's possible because of Samoa Joe. You look at, you know, like the Usos and Solo, and, you know, they're a little smaller, I grant you, but you're going to see the Samoans flying like that. Oh, yeah, they can. Sure they can, because Joe can. If Joe at 300 pounds can, the Usos and Solos sure shit can, because that's what, you know, the Samoans were never really high flyers until...
they were barbarians.
They were barbarian. Samoans, period. Not just the Anawahis, but anytime you saw a Samoan on
stereotypical barbarian.
But Joe made it possible for that division to become exactly what it had been touted as for however long before he won the title. X Division, X Games, X Factor, Extreme. And again, that word was overused in the early 2000s in wrestling. Let's not front. Look at UXPW. But Joe made the X more than just Extreme. It made it the X Factor. And that's a perfect way to describe it, Jay. I'm very happy you said it like that.
I just didn't want people to have horrid flashbacks to that trio in WWE. Yo, you dealing with the X Factor.
Sean,
I know it's your buddy Sean.
You know I love you like very few others, but god damn. Even the music was bad.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't even get real Kid Rock. They had to get Uncle Cracker.
Freaking great value status on the
right, the Wish version. When you order Uncle Crack, or you order Kid Rock and get the Wish version.
And by the way, Kid Rock ain't no kid no more. We need to call him Daddy Rock or something. This is bullshit.
Old Man Rock.
He's older than one of us.
OMR, Old Man Rock. Give him the Austin vest with the OMR one more round.
Get the fuck out of my head.
But
terrible people.
Samoa Joe, I mean, again, we're getting way off in the weeds on this on some of them, but it's what we do on
Dads. It's what we do on Dads. Especially when we're together. We've even been together in the same room in forever, so screw it.
Especially filming.
Right?
But Samoa Joe was that beast.
Yes.
You know, Jade Cargill says on a weekly basis, I'm that bitch.
Yeah.
Joe was that beast.
Seriously.
Like, you heard his music drop and you were like, oh shit, someone's about to die.
Joe's Gonna Kill You became a thing. Regardless of what the Ring of Honor fans will try to spin. I'm not saying he wasn't the most dominant Ring of Honor champion of that era, because he was.
Yeah. And if you don't believe me, go ask his hour-plus long battles with CM Punk.
More than one, by the way. It's on DVD. Go look that shit up.
Despite what people want to say about Phil post his media scrum with AEW, you want to see why Punk is touted for what he is?
Yeah.
Watch that trio of matches with Joe.
There's a reason people pop their, pardon the stealing of the phrase here, the reason people popped their pussy when he came out to his Ring of Honor music against Max in the Ring of Honor outfit. Because that CM Punk was a killer. And he got honed as a killer because of dealing with Samoa Joe for 3 hours. Over the course of 3 matches. So, yeah. Joe was very kind to us in the old days on the No DQ channel. Gave us fantastic promo with the pink keychain that will never die, ever. Even though we can't find the video right now, it will never die. And he's just so funny. Ring that bell? He's not funny no more. Evil Joe is going to kill you. The only reason there's a better thing than that now is because people took the chant that was for him, adopted it to Brian. You're going to get your fucking head kicked in. It's like, Joe was the original cave people's heads in before Brian became the Ring of Honor champion. Whew, good stuff.
Number 3, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels.
Okay. All right. Man, oh man.
And this is another one, man. This is another close personal friend of both of us.
Yes.
Not as much our channels, obviously the No DQ channel, because our personal channels didn't exist back then.
Right. But definitely us.
Chris in general has just always been one of those dudes for us. Yep. And again, going back to Ultimate Pro Wrestling with me, same story I told Frankie, I told him about discovering them on the KDOC show. Same thing, he crapped on it. But,
yeah.
But again, you know, sometimes they have to be reminded that if you're here because of that, it wasn't as bad as they thought it was.
No.
It may have been bad.
Yeah.
But it didn't lose fans, it still gained you fans.
Yeah. And people have to remember something about UPW. The fact of the matter is this. It was shot on a frayed shoestring budget. You want to know how many people they had filming UPW shows? Aaron and I were on a long cam for one of them. Okay?
Do you want to talk again about what happened to that camera?
No. It wasn't that camera. It was the camera at ringside. We were watching in horror as the camera at ringside got smacked out of his hand by Luther Reigns because somebody started the "You Were Kurt's bitch" chant.
You were Kurt's bitch. You were Kurt's bitch.
There's a reason we got a tripod like that after that, because we didn't trust the talent no more to touch our shit. So we actually carried it around with the tripod when we would do stuff like that, because Luther Reigns is crazy and he gets wound up rather easily.
I mean, it may have been out of line, but it wasn't wrong.
By the way, he wasn't out of line either. It's just when you're up in a balcony at a freaking theater, and where the hell we were, Santa Ana or whatever the fuck it was, watching in horror as our camera goes flying across the theater, and I haven't ran that fast since fucking high school. trying to pull stupid cameraman and camera out of there. But with Daniels, again, he is just so talented. Mm-hmm. And yes, he got all the credit in the world and then some, but doesn't get talked about as much because he's very much kind of faded into the background as a talent relations person at AEW now. Only got brought up after he All Out because of the bullshit in the locker room, which is ridiculous. But you mentioned the personal friendship, you mentioned all that. He is so ungodly talented, even now. He wrestled on the Jericho Cruise, and I swore I was watching a tape, just like projected into the ring, because he's still so fluid. And there's a reason the Conquistadors worked under the gold suits in WWE, and it sure as hell wasn't because of Aaron freaking Aguilera, okay? Yeah. I'm just saying. He's always been talented. He's always been that guy. He's always been the one that can elevate anybody's in the ring with to that level that they need to be at to be in the ring with him and still keep up. And as far as the personal stuff goes, Frankie Kazarian grabbed my arm and brought me down into like the lower part of the atrium when we were talking after one of the Paradise Kitty concerts. Daniels looked up and saw me, walked up to me, and like, dude, how the hell have you been? I was like, whoa.
See, and that's so cool. Like, I wonder if he would remember me, you know? There was a time when we were going to Gorilla all the time, and I would see him outside of Gorilla, and he would recognize me. We would talk. I remember going to the LA Convention Center. It was a video game con, I think, and Spike TV Impact was there.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the day that I got, or one of the days where I got the Jeff Jarrett pick. Raven was there, I think, with Daniel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Jarrett was there. I forget who was with Jarrett. But, you know, Daniels was just kind of off to the side because everyone was like cooing over Raven.
Of course.
Which, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm freaking there in a Captain America shirt, leather jacket, cut off shorts, flannel around my waist. Gee, who the hell was I there to see? But, you know, going up to Chris afterwards, man, and talking with him, seeing his wife, his kid.
Right.
You know, having personal conversation.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I missed about taking that hiatus from the business, because where could those friendships have developed to if I had kept going around for those 8 years?
Yeah. I treasure moments. I'll tell you what, I'll throw the picture up in post, but man, when Dylan and I went to Universal Studios, and I did not know at the time, I had found out later through our buddy Ben Thomas, that Daniels was the lead villain in the Waterworld stage show. Didn't know it at the time. We walked in, and I hate that show, stupid anyway. But I walked in there, I hear that voice, and Dylan sees look at my face. He goes, "What, Dad?" I'm like, "It's Christopher Daniels." He goes, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "Where?" And I tried to stage shows everywhere. I look out and I go, "Right there, bub." And I pull up a picture. He goes, "Oh my God, it's the fallen angel!" Because we educated that boy right.
That's right.
So we go after the show. I always do back in line. We all know that, but I do back in line set photo ops just because that's how I do things. We get up there. Daniels looks at the kiddo first, looks at me, and he goes like this, and I nod in my head, and he just freaking brought him in tight. He did the Daniels pose with him. He did the Daniels pose with me. I'm like, that's what the fuck is up. We walked out of there, and for the brief moment, okay, this is a long time ago before I became a teenager and too cool for me. He's like, "Dad, that was so cool." I'm like, "Dude, that's how it always used to be with me and your Uncle Jay, man." Yeah. Because they appreciated that we appreciated them and paid money to see them, went out of our way to have enough money to go to the gimmick table and buy a shirt, buy a picture, whatever. Something. Because at the end of the day, until they get that big contract with the big W on it, they're independent contractors. And yes, they still supposedly are WWE. That's a little shit, by the way. They're forging their own way. So anytime they can get people to come to see them, that's money in their bank.
Yeah.
And Daniels and Frankie and even, you know, the guy we're going to talk about next always appreciated that, because a lot of them coming up to California was a bitch to travel. Especially even back then. Yeah, it wasn't COVID back then, but flying across the country from where TNA was based was a bitch. So they always appreciated us going up there, especially when this guy, if I remember the story right, you can fill in the gaps in a second here, purposely wore Canada gear to a PWG show, knowing that
the Canadian Destroyer, P.D. Williams,
at number 2, was going to be at that show. P.D. walked out there and he almost popped his damn self right then and there, like, that's awesome.
Well,
shit.
Jeff moving too much.
I'm sorry, I'm uncomfortable. I'm sweaty.
I forget the name of the store. It's not in existence anymore. I want to say it was Stephen Barry's. Something like that. It was in some of those outdoor outlet mall type places. The Irvine Spectrum.
Right.
You know, we had gone to one of those places, my daughter's mom and I, and they had a whole line of like hockey-centric, essentially, team insert country here gear. They had the Team USA, Team Canada, Team Mexico, etc. And so we saw it, we were like, okay, Team Canada's jacket, Team Canada jersey, Team Canada t-shirt, the whole 9. That way we could go and represent, because he's not going to expect somebody to be there repping Canada, especially since he's an uber heel.
Right?
Like, there was nothing babyface about P.D. Williams.
No.
Period.
Yeah.
But that finisher, the Canadian Destroyer, the Panama Sunrise, whatever you want to call it these days, that is still the most devastating finisher, period, bar none, in my opinion. You can say the tombstone, you can say the regular pile driver.
I won't.
But that flipping pile driver, holy hell.
That is the most devastating finish I've ever seen in person. By and large.
And to see it as close as to where the camera is sitting to where I'm sitting. Like, dude. Like, if you had gone to an Impact show, unless you had front row, you're not seeing it that close.
No.
But we saw it that close on a regular.
Seriously, me seeing it from up where I saw it before I saw it at PWG, it was like, even from what they would call the crow's nest in the old days, like, that thing looks like it, and trust me, talking to people like we talked about on today's list, you can sell as much as you want, you can help as much as you want. That's just, I mean, you're coming down on your head. That shit still hurts. And man, I can't, like you said, he was a despicable piece of shit human being in a group of despicable piece of shit human beings from Canada.
And next to Samoa Joe, probably the most dominant heel X Division champion that there was.
Of this
during the time we're discussing.
Yes. And again, the fact that y'all showed up, geared up for him, I know because we talked about you and I afterwards, man. He had to sit back and go, y'all may maybe not be a big baby heel, but he all fucked up.
Right?
But hey.
And because of that, because of how close we got to him, I always called him my Canadian brother from another mother.
That's it.
Because he is P.D. Williams, you know?
Exactly.
I'm the renegade J.J. Williams.
Yep.
He's probably only a few years younger than me.
Yeah.
He literally could be like my little brother.
Yeah, and it was so cool. Again, we talked about it. All those guys brought you to PWG, and it was cool to see them come back when they would come back. And PD was definitely one of those. You know, he'd come back in, see us there, you know, do the bro thing, and go up and do his thing in the ring. And it was cool to have that moment because, again, we're gushing way more over the personality stuff than we are actually the wrestling, but that's what we do on the show. I think
because a lot of the reason we put them where we did is because of the personal connection. I mean, the wrestling accomplishments and achievements notwithstanding, because they do speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
And we have touched on those for everybody.
Yes.
But subjective, like we always say, it's like the reason these people are where they are is because of how we feel about them. And some of them we have a really storied history with.
Yes, and
much like our number one, who we get to in just a minute, because I know you were still on a thought about Pete.
Well, no, actually, I was going to go into the number one introduction, but
much like our number one, then, what else can you say about him except he is simply fucking phenomenal.
There's a reason he was granted the Mr. TNA moniker for as long as he was. And it started because he won this on show number 2 of the company's history. Taped on night 1 of the company's history. Yeah. He was there from the beginning. He was the
let's not talk about how he looked back in the beginning with his freaking 80s headband and his farmer combed down hair.
Yeah, I picked the picture we picked for a reason because X Division Champion AJ in 2002 in a pose 8x10. Yeah, I smacked him in the head for that shit. I was like,
although
oh my
I
God.
Still want that era's X Styles t-shirt. That is one of my...
Yeah, it's one of those eBay grails. Like, we gotta find that shit for real.
For real.
Because that he actually was wearing that championship Wow.
That shirt when he won the
became
championship.
the NWA championship also. So yeah, it's one of those
Right.
throwback to. He became the first TNA Triple Crown winner during the era of that T-shirt. So, but yeah, the first TNA Triple Crown winner, multiple time Triple Crown winner in both the NWA and the post NWA era of TNA. Let me just start the Styles parade because it's what it's going to be right now.
Yeah.
He did everything he could do with the company.
Multiple times.
Yeah, seriously. TNA was the first company to acknowledge multiple time Triple Crown, multiple time, Grand Slam, or multiple time everything. Whatever.
I was just gonna say the Miz gushes about how he's a 2-time Grand Slammer in WWE. AJ Styles did it first.
6 times. He is at least a Triple Crown. The Grand Slam is hard for TNA because that television / legend / whatever, the King of the Mountain. Oh God, it's a stupid title. But he won that too. So, but a little harder to get that more than a couple times because it was such a short history. AJ Styles is the reason the X Division worked.
Yep.
I can't even state it any clearer than that. If AJ Styles is not the inaugural champion, with his hand being raised by Ricky and Dragon Steamboat, let's not forget about that either. There is no X Division as quickly established as it is.
Yeah.
He faced everybody. He faced Sean Waltman. He faced everybody. Low Key, Jerry Lynn, the Pillars we talked about. He faced every one of them. And if he didn't beat them in the ring, he made sure they were OVER as champion, leaving him in the ring.
Absolutely.
Period.
To use a modern comparison, and this may be controversial, but AJ Styles in the X Division during the time that he was, and specifically the time frame we were discussing this, Carmelo Hayes with the North American title.
Yeah. Yep. Nobody could touch him. Nobody. And if they did touch him, it was brief. It was brief.
I mean, you could even compare Trick Williams to when AJ had Mortimer Plumtree.
Yep. God, I just remember Mortimer right now when you said that. I forgot all about that little shithead.
I didn't, because I watched the weekly pay-per-views, guys.
I did too. That's the thing.
Like, I watched the weekly pay-per-views. As soon as they started coming out with DVDs, man, I was buying them. I had that Best of the Bloodiest Brawls, the Best of the X Division, and the Best of AJ Styles.
We got both volumes of that one at the house because somebody who won't admit it now was all about AJ. I mentioned the butt grabbing earlier. It is what it is. But yeah, AJ was so good. Still is.
How good was he?
He was so good that even now, when she disowns the business outright, still mentions AJ with a little bit of love. Because, yes, he was cute. Yes, he was good looking. But he wouldn't have been at those shows in the first place if he couldn't tear it up in the ring. And he did. It didn't matter if he was wrestling Frankie or Joe or Jarrett or, the Outsiders. It didn't matter. AJ could wrestle anybody in that TNA ring, 6 or 4-sided, get them over in the process of making sure he stayed over. And
to the point where his gimmick suffered because he would play second or even third fiddle to new WWE cast-off to try and get them over with the TNA crowd.
Seriously, the hierarchy of that trio:
Christian,
Tonko,
Styles.
AJ fucking Styles. in an era where AJ could have and did eventually wrestle circles around Christian Cage. And I'm not underselling Christian Cage for one goddamn minute.
No. Love Captain Charisma.
Love us some Captain Charisma. In TNA more so at that point, honest to God.
Even with his Evanescence knockoff music.
Which I actually like still, I'm not going to lie.
I do still too, but it is what it is.
It is. But yeah, AJ Styles being third tier under fucking Tomko. Yeah. But we sit back there and crack on it. AJ
he teamed
had
with Tomko and helped get Tomko more over than he ever was before. So you know what? AJ did his fucking job.
Yeah, and AJ had enough, not pull or swing or whatever you want to call it, but he had enough sense to... Stroke, there you go. He had enough sense to go to the office, and if he really was, he could have been like, no. But he didn't. He made sure Tomko got over. When you think about the fact that Christian Cage and Tomko and AJ were the world and tag team world champions at that point, there's a reason what the hell was the name of that damn trio? Like, did they have this particular name?
The Christian Coalition.
Christian Coalition. Thank you. That was going to piss me off. I didn't remember that. Thank you. The fact that Christian Coalition was so over was because AJ was the backbone. Name or not. And again, same thing with... he and Abyss, unlikely and didn't get along tag team champions. Can the partners get along? Well, no, but this is the world tag team champions.
Keenan and Daniel Bryan, anybody?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a reason that these...
Without Harold in therapy.
Or Scorpio Sky randomly sitting there for... Oh, hey, never mind. I'm thinking Dr. Shelby. Wow. That's how exhausted that whole thing made me watching that crap unfold on television. AJ Styles is... the best wrestler that was a TNA original. Period. End of sentence. I said what I said. And I have friends that were on that roster at that point that I love and will always love. But AJ was Mr. TNA for a reason. And he was the best X Division champion. And I know that the modern Impact fans are going to argue. People like Speedball, people like Ace Austin, people like Trey Miguel. AJ Styles is the best Impact /TNA /NWA TNA /GFW / whatever this shit you want to call it. Ring King. Fuck me. Lord, I apologize for that one. That was just out of left field, but it worked. It's a good shit. The best X Division champion of all time. By and large. And even now, you put AJ Styles in 22 in the ring with Trey, with Ace, with Speedball. Belts will pop for it. Nothing else. Jesus.
I'd love to see Sammy and AJ.
Right. Seriously. Put AJ in the ring with guys that are holding that TNT division down in AEW. Sammy Guevara and those guys. Put him in the ring in WWE with guys like, I don't know, El Generico. Sorry, Sammy's saying.
Yeah, that's Kevin the Sammy I meant.
I know. Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, everybody he's already wrestled, they can still wrestle like they're wrestling in front of 20 people.
Let me see AJ in Solo.
Right.
Holy hell, what would that do for Solo's career?
Dude.
Because he's not losing right now.
Oh, no, of course he's not.
He just got the belt in his bloodline. He's not going to lose to AJ, but what would that do to his career to defeat AJ Styles?
Yeah, Roman's already done it. He's been there, done that, so have the Usos. Because they beat AJ and Omos at one point in a tag title defense. Or a tag title win, whatever it was. So, yeah, AJ, there's a reason they paired him with Flair in TNA. AJ is the Ric Flair of our generation. The greatest, pure, in-ring performer in the business. Yeah. Said what I done said.
The only place where AJ lacks in comparison to Flair is his promos.
Yep, which is why they put him with Flair. Didn't work very well, but that was the initial intent.
I mean, but everything else AJ has in spades.
Yeah.
We're not talking Shayna Baszler or the Queen of Spades.
No, he's got so much of it in spades. He's got enough to give people, more than half of it. He's still good to go. Right. Because he's AJ Styles. But.
So, that is our list of the top 10 X Division champions. What do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree?
And again,
let us know.
And again, keep in mind, this is pre and even into a little bit of the Hogan era, which is why we didn't mention everybody else.
Now, we have been told,
yes,
don't know if it's going to happen yet,
right?
But we have been told, so take it with a grain of salt. You know, it's an internet rumor, if you will.
Rumor and innuendo.
That there is going to be a response video coming called "The Sons on Wrestling."
Always on wrestling.
Where our open mic night cohorts, James Hebert and Noah Foster, are going to basically be parodying Jeff and I. And they're going to pick up the slack from where we left off and do the top 10 X Division champions from essentially the Hogan era to today.
Yes.
So if your favorite did not get covered,
it'll be okay.
Tune in to that when it drops. We will definitely plug and promote it.
Oh, yeah.
Because we want to help them circulate and get the publicity for their channels. Plus, it's an homage to us. You know, like we said to them, I think this was brought off camera.
Yes. Yes.
They went the Weird Al route, man. They asked us for permission to parody us.
Right.
So of course we're gonna be like, dude, go for it.
Because those guys we mentioned, Ace and Trey and Willie and all that.
Mike Bennett.
Seriously,
Eddie
Mike
Edwards.
Bennett. Yeah. They all.
Doug Williams.
Yep.
My British brother from another mother.
Yeah, they all deserve to be in this discussion because as much as the Impact product as a whole dropped off exponentially with the Hogan insurgents, and the X Division always ruled that ass. TJ was champion after that point too. So yeah, there's a lot of meat on that bone. We just don't have access to the department anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know.
We, like I said in the beginning, we're not educated enough about those champions and what they brought to the division.
No.
I mean, we could go on for hours about TJ and Willie because of our personal background.
Right. Yeah.
But we did that enough with the 10 guys we covered.
Yes.
You know?
We don't know what we go about. We have no idea what we're running right now. So.
Yeah. We're doing this primitively. We're doing this legit like the OG Casa days. Jeff's phone is on a tripod away from us filming this shot. We're not using, you know, a digital cam like back in the day, but we're not using a laptop either, like when we do our normal live streams and our normal pre-recorded shows.
We wanted to get an old school feel because we talk in old school.
Because we are going back in time. But we got to bring it back to the future now.
Yes, and in the future, of course, JJ mentioned his movies this week. I mean,
yes. I mean, well, but before that, we've got Stat Boy Sports Bar tomorrow.
Yes, talk wrestling.
You know, the food is hot, the beer is ice cold, the stools are warm. So come in, pull up a seat, and engage in some entertaining sports conversation as the Casa D18 Studios channel proudly presents Stat Boy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lee.
I may or may not be on tomorrow, and only because as we're recording this, the Dallas versus Cincinnati game's getting ready to start, and I'm probably either going to be happy how the game went, either way, who wins, or I'm going to be disappointed because somebody I got hurt again. So, yeah, we'll talk about that on the Sports Bar, and then, of course, talk wrestling. As I said on Mike Night, it's going to be the last live one guaranteed. It's already set. We're going to do that show. It really depends what this guy says this weekend.
Yeah.
Because after that, my future is very uncertain as far as where I'm going to be scheduled. Well, not where, when I'm going to be scheduled. So enjoy the talk wrestling while it's there, kids, because it's going to be taken away.
Like Doc Brown says,
the future's whatever the mask makes it. So hope he makes it a good one, or something like that.
I was going to say, the future is not yet written, so make it a good one.
Yeah, well, I can do all I can. It's up to Mickey Mouse. Hope you don't have a problem.
Wednesday, of course, will be the Breakfast Club. Going to spend a day in detention.
Right.
Thursday, going to be coverage of the brand new episode of She-Hulk. Friday, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, playing hooky for the day. And then Saturday, as we covered earlier, Clerks 3, new release Saturday. Plus, open mic night again.
Yes,
to wrap everything off.
I may or may not be a Saturday, depending on the day.
That's fine.
But we'll see. And then...
But so much coming up in store for us.
For us on DADS, we're actually taking a couple weeks off. We've got the 10th of October is our wrestling. It's a wrestling show because the end of the month is not wrestling. We'll get there. The top 10 females who have never been a singles world champion. So probably going to be a hot topic if nothing else. And I don't mean the store, which has some awesome stuff, but because it's going to be a lot of people
that one I think is going to need to be another community.
Yeah, I would say collaboration. However, the one in the end of October, that's going to be awesome. Because he pitched this to me after we did our Halloween-centric episode last year. And I immediately went, hell yes. Top 10 horror sequels.
Yes.
Now, we're not saying it only has to be a part 2, by any means. But as long as it is a sequel of a horror movie, it is fair game. And that's quite a large list. So
I'm throwing out there right now, so far on my list, I have a part 2, a part 3, and a part 7 on my list. So definitely opening things up.
Yes.
You know, and a part 4.
Yes.
Part 2, a part 3, a part 4, and a part 7.
Yes. Well,
holy hell.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the part 5s and part 6 that have gone to part 5 and 6, they shouldn't get anybody's list ever. So, yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I even cheated on one.
Oh.
I don't care. Call it what it is. You'll understand when I do the list.
Okay, fair enough. But that is at the end of next month.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys watching all this month. We know it's only the 19th. We actually ended up inadvertently taking the 2 weeks off because we had different things scheduled for different times, but it just ended up working out where we wanted to do the horror show the week before Halloween. That way you guys had Halloween to, do your thing and go trick-or-treating or go see Halloween Ends for the 15th time that week probably or whatever, if you actually is worth anything. So we will see you guys on DADS in a couple of weeks, but tune in again, man. You've got great movies to continue your month of back to school. You've got She-Hulk, you've got the Stat Boy Sports Bar, featuring Dora Lou tomorrow, Talk Wrestling for me tomorrow. So much good. We can't emphasize enough how much we appreciate you guys liking these videos, hitting that bell, hitting the subscribe button, making sure you know we're coming, because the schedule for me is sporadic. This guy, every day of the week, one way or another, the cost is active.
It's getting there, man. And I keep pushing on my show about sharing the video, trying to get me up there, so bump me up in the algorithms.
That's it.
So I can get monetized. I am just under 2,500 view hours.
Seriously.
I need to get to 4,000. And that sounds like a lot, 1,500 view hours, but it is doable.
Yep.
Guys, go back into the archives. Watch old episodes of the Dads on Wrestling back from 2011, 2012.
Yep.
Watch old episodes of Renegade. Watch old episodes of After the Bell.
Not the choreography.
Watch old episodes of Ringside Insanity.
Absolutely.
Watch all that old content. I mean, hell, if you so desire, start a playlist and then just leave for the day and let it run.
Right.
It's going to help me boost up my hours so that come the end of the year, when we do that open mic night live stream we're talking about for New Year's Eve,
yes,
I can announce to the world that I am now monetized.
It occurred to me after I pitched that last night, or Saturday night rather, to you guys, that we're going to go right into the new year, catch however long of a sleep WWE's going to give us, and then day one that night. So
day one / the anniversary of the Jeff Meacham Network.
I forgot about that. Oh my God, I forgot all about that. No sleep till January 2nd. Which is a Sunday, no, it's a Monday.
But again, thank you all so much for joining in and tuning in today and listening to us talk about the X Division champions and gush over our friendships with some of them.
Absolutely.
Because, man, the wrestling business has brought so much into both of our lives. And it's so cool to be able to talk about something like this that is near and dear to our hearts, because people talk about world champions all the time.
Yes.
But it's very rare that those mid-card workhorse titles get the respect they deserve.
And even
so
titles,
we wanted to put a little bit of stank
that's right,
on the names that held the NWA X Division Championship.
That's right. Gotta love those guys, and we appreciate you tuning in to Dads and giving us the love and showing us appreciation by watching us each and every Monday that we're on. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit that bell. Tune in tomorrow for Casa DT Studios presentation of Snapway Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou and the Multiverse of Media on the Championship Network presenting Talk Wrestling. He is the Renegade JJ Williams. I am the West Coast Professor Jeff. Motherfucking Meacham. We are the Dads, and we will see you guys next time.